Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. We're going to resume on the topic of the legendary Miss Angie Stone, because some disturbing news has come out about her finances, and we're going to examine to see if Angie Stone was possibly broke. And what I mean by broke, there are different levels to broke. Obviously, by her standards, she could be worth $1, $2, or what they're saying, $3 million and be considered broke, which is the reason why she had to go out on the road and continually perform at the age of 63. Now, according to Google, Wikipedia, whatever, they say that she's worth about $3 million. And doing some digging, this is what I've heard. Don't know if this is true, but I would tell you, you can dig for yourself, research for yourself, and decide for yourself. They're saying that she was worth about $3 million and that she had about $2 million in the bank. Now, with the $2 million in the bank, I'm guessing that she was living off the interest of that. If you have $2 million in the bank, you can yield an interest of $60,000 to $80,000 a year. So I guess she was subsidizing her income with the interest and the gigs in which she was getting. So it goes on to, it's really strange because you have to really wonder, a legend like that who's been in the game for 40 years in the industry, you have to ask Angie, what happened with the money? Where did the money go? But, I want to play this segment for you. I cut this in half pretty much. The whole thing, look at my past video. The whole tape is pretty much on there. Or you can go online where she's talking about the record company. But I want to point out something specifically here. Okay, I want to point out some things in there. And this is quite a bit to unpack from that past segment right there. She's been in the, by the way, before I go on, let me make this clear, okay? This is not to be disrespectful towards Angie Stone or not to throw darts at her. I'm just curious because, I've been in the industry before. And what I'm curious about is she's been in there for 40 years. And she said she just found out that she was being cheated, that Universal Records were taking money from her. How can you be there for 40 years and just find out about it? It seems to me that Angie, unfortunately, wasn't on top of her income. It wasn't on top of her paperwork, wasn't on top of the documentations, wasn't on top of the contracts. You cannot be in an industry for that long and just found out about it. It seems to me that you would have been able to tell 5 years, 7 years, even 10 years into the business that, hey, something seems wrong. It doesn't seem like I'm getting the proper compensation someone of my caliber should. It just seems like there would have been an awareness long ago. I'm baffled as to how she can be 40 years into the industry and just found out about it. Because keep in mind that videotape there was just made this past December. I find that to be very strange. And some of you legal people, you can help me out here. Okay, she says that the record company pretty much took funds that were hers. They did not compensate her property for all the funds that she is deserving of. But here's the problem with this, and I wish she would not have said that. It tells me that she doesn't have a manager. I don't know if she does right now, because if I were her manager, I would have stopped her from saying certain things in that, pretty much in that recording that she issued out to the world. I would not have admitted that people on my end who are hired did not do the proper paperwork. They did not do the proper documentation. They did not take care of the contracts. I would not have said that, because that gives the record company ammunition to pretty much say, well, it was her fault. It was her people's fault. It was the ones who was doing the contract. It was their fault. They did not do it right. So we only compensated her by what was presented to us. So it seems to me that the people who her children are going to have to go after are going to be the people who fucked up doing her contracts, her paperwork, and her documents. And here's another problem with that. Are these people still alive? If this was years ago, if this was even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, are these people still around? Does she still have copies of the original documents? Are they still around? It just seems like to me that her whole team just dropped the ball. This is how something like this can happen, is that when you're just not on top of your paperwork, and people in the industry, if you're just not getting into it, you must stay on top of your paperwork. You got to hire financial attorneys, people who know about things like this, who know about documentations. And it's not a situation where you can just have something signed and just leave it there. You got to have people regularly who are checking in to see that you are being properly compensated. It seems to me that Angie was kind of short on money, that maybe she did not want to pay like a 30% for an industry attorney or someone who knows about finances, a financier. It seems to me that she just did not want to really have money going out because she was kind of short. But, that's just a lesson learned for people who are going into the industry. Now, here's the thing. She was not a woman who was living above her means. Her house in Georgia was worth about $600,000, originally purchased for like about $400,000. So it just tells me that she wasn't a wild spender. She never struck me the type who would be very extravagant. She was a conscious-minded woman. Usually conscious-minded people tend not to be braggadocious with their finances or have a need to display wealth. So she seems to be pretty modest. That particular home that she has is a home that, pretty much everyday people can buy. So basically, what the word is that she was worth about $3 million. Should have been worth a lot more, though, but you have to wonder what happened with, taking care of business. But listen to this.
I'm Lamb, this is Real Estate Insider. We're looking at the home of Angie Stone. Yes, the legendary Angie Stone. She has a home in Locust Grove, Georgia. It has 5 bedrooms, 5 baths, 5,600 square feet that she purchased back in 2019 for $425,000. The home is currently estimated to be valued at about $621,000 according to Zillow. We're going to take a look at it. So if you would hit like, subscribe, also provide your insider rating in the comments. What do you rate this home?
So Angie Stone, by her standards, by, someone who's a legend in the entertainment industry, she was pretty modest, which goes with her being a very conscious-minded person, very modest, a $400,000 home when she first purchased it. I'm going to imagine that she probably paid it off in cash, so she probably just had the interest to take care of. And the interest that she's getting from the $2 million in the bank, plus subsidized with her performance gigs, she can definitely pay that. It wouldn't be a problem at all. But here's the problem with this whole thing, though. You guys who are conspiracy theorists who are going online with the ridiculous thing that she was taken out. I covered that in the last video. No, I do not believe that she was taken out. She would have been a real easy target. People knew where she lived. The record companies know her address right there. She doesn't have a lot of bodyguards around her, probably had no bodyguards around her because she was short on cash. She wasn't the most extravagant spender. She was basically, she had to perform at 63. She had to go out there and work. So therefore, you have to wonder, when you say things like that, here's the problem that I have is that you're making it very difficult for her children to possibly go on with these lawsuits. Because now they're going to be looking over their backs wondering, could this possibly be true? Or hopefully they won't. Hopefully they'll know that, no, this is a bunch of BS. They won't be so worried or so hesitant to file the proper lawsuits or to go after the people who did not file Angie's paperwork and documentation properly. That's why I do not like those conspiracy theories, though. But here's the thing, too, though. As I stated once before or earlier in the video, aren't her children going to have to go after the people who messed up the paperwork? I'm just thinking that a court of law is going to have you probably go to the proper channels. And I just don't see how, if her paperwork was messed up, if things are not properly, if all the songs that she did were not registered, how can you just jump from there to the people who were supposed to do that and just go up against a record company when it wasn't the record company's fault that the paperwork was mishandled, wasn't filled out properly, things are not documented properly, all the songs in the catalog were not even accounted for? It just seems like to me that this is a mess. And to be honest with you people, I'm going to doubt, unless the record company have a kumbaya moment, a moment of where they feel some type of remorse and just say to the two children, okay, I'm going to cut you a check for, you get 2 million, you get 2 million, and we'll just call it even right there. I hope they have that type of a moment. And I hope for children's sake, they don't have to go through this rigorous, lawsuit trying to put this puzzle together, because this is going to be a mess to figure out. But knowing how evil the record company is, the industry is, it's not looking too good that they will have the type of concentration to even do something like that, that they would have the decency to at least throw them 2 million, a couple of million each for them, not properly compensating her mother for the ill work that these people who she hired to do, who they just didn't do it correctly. So I'm hoping that they does come to that, because it just seems to me it's going to be a very uphill battle to try to get that money back. So I just don't see it really happening, to be honest with you. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we just got to hope for the best that, things can turn out well for them, because they're going through a very difficult time right now. And these online conspiracy theories are not helping at all. It really isn't. Death is very difficult already. The idea that somebody could have just taken her out prematurely is, is a lot more harder to deal with. So let's hope, wish them grace and strength in this time of difficulty. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Send Beyond Through with Monty. And I will see you all beyond and through.